Just throwing one of these does this much damage, which is why I want to test this against the wither. What's up, agents? Zero here. Welcome back to another Minecraft AddOn Showcase, and today we're going to be taking a look at the throwable TNT and Dynamite add-on. Now, if that name wasn't obvious enough as to what's going on in this add-on, then basically here's how this is going to work. This adds in items of which you can throw. They're pretty much explosives. That's probably the best explanation I can do. So yeah, it adds in 4 different explosives into the game, which again, they are all throwable. And I just want to let you guys know that after I show you everything that's going on with these 4 items, I want to do some testing. So I've got some blocks inside this chest. As you can tell, I want to see how well the wither will do against these throwable explosives. And I've got this hollow block of bedrock in front of me, which I'm going to be using to test. And I've got myself a couple of command blocks, one of which gives me night vision so I can obviously see in there. And then it teleports me on the inside because I don't want to have to mess up the actual outside just to get inside, if that makes any sense. So anyway, let's go ahead and go into this chest, and we have all of these items of which we're going to be taking a look at, which are obviously the only items we're going to be taking a look at, because this is all the add-on has in store for us. So the first thing we're actually going to be taking a look at right here, this is throwable TNT. Now this actually replaces snowballs, and what this does is that you throw it, and wherever it lands, it spawns in primed TNT, which apparently that decided to go in through the ground, which I don't understand why it did that, but you know what, that's okay. So it spawns in primed TNT wherever it is that you happen to throw it and it lands. So that's literally all the throwable TNT does. Again, this is actually a snowball. Something I probably should have already mentioned by now, which I can't believe I actually managed to forget already. This add-on was actually created by a guy by the name of Captain Joe 143. Unfortunately, he doesn't have any social links for me to put in the description. I do apologize, but you can at least check out the add-on down in the description. So anyway, let's get back into the add-on itself. So now we are moving on to Dynamite. Now this replaces eggs, which makes me assume that chickens will be able to lay these if you were to use this in survival, which to me sounds like it would be really painful, all things considered. So if we go ahead and throw this, it creates an explosion somewhat similar to that of our primed TNT. And all things considered, that's actually not all too bad of an explosion size for something like this. It's very similar, as I mentioned, to that of the throwable TNT. Well, actually not just the throwable TNT, but regular TNT for that matter. Now we're going to move on to the next throwable explosive. This is Dynamite 1.5x, and if the name wasn't obvious enough, basically what this does is that the explosion size that you saw from the Dynamite that we throw is going to be increased by 1.5. So let's go ahead and throw this down. As you can tell, it made a much bigger hole, all things considered. Now, as far as being 1.5 times as big, I don't actually necessarily know. Maybe it's supposed to be 1.5 times as powerful, which that would make a whole lot of sense. And this is actually replaced by ender pearls. Now, the last thing we're actually going to be taking a look at, this is actually Dynamite 2x, and this replaces Balls of Enchanting, which makes a lot of sense because the actual item itself is actually enchanted. So if that wasn't really as big of a spoiler as I made it sound, then I don't know what will. So as you'd expect, you throw this down, makes a massive explosion. Just take a look at that. Just throwing one of these does this much damage, which is why I want to test this against the wither. This is literally the only one of which I'm going to be testing against the wither, because I want to assume here that the wither is going to have a really rough time surviving this stuff. He might do much better surviving everything else, especially the throwable TNT, for obvious reasons, because that actually takes time to explode, whereas everything else is instant. So let's go ahead and spawn in the Wither, and we're going to see exactly how many of these it takes to take the Wither down. So here we go. We're going to go ahead and get out our Dynamite 2x, wait for the Wither to be done spawning, and there we go. So we're going to wait a couple seconds because I was doing a little bit of testing earlier, to be completely honest, and apparently I have to wait at least a second or two before he actually decides to take damage from these. And so let's go ahead and throw that. So we've taken 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Now, I'm going to be completely honest, I was sworn he ended up taking a lot less of these times to Dynamite the last time I tried to test this out on him. So, as you can tell, he obviously didn't fare too well against these. So, I'm going to do one more time to see if what I tested out earlier actually holds true. Because for whatever reason, I don't know why that took as many hits as it did. Considering, if I remember correctly from the last time I tested this, it actually ended up taking 6 hits. So, we're going to test this one second time. And that seems to have done about as much damage as it did the first time. Okay, I have no idea why he's decided to start resisting the Dynamite, but he is. Okay, so maybe I was wrong earlier, or maybe it's just the fact that maybe there's some RNG involved preventing him from taking damage every single time. I'm not entirely sure, but yeah, he doesn't do all too well against these TNT, to be completely honest. And my gosh, I did not realize these would do damage outside of the bedrock. That's actually kind of interesting. But yeah, you know what? After all that, I think this is actually a good place to go ahead and end off the video. So, hopefully you guys have enjoyed. If you did, make sure that like button. One more, then make sure that subscribe button for future content. Also, you can follow me on Twitter at AgentCPU0 to stay updated. This has been Zero Studios. Thank you guys for watching, and with that, I will see you guys later.